Yo, people, what is good? Welcome back to my channel. Apologies for the delays. I put it in the chat window already that work was kicking my ass earlier today, so I've had to squeeze this in now. And apologies for the length of stream because I'm probably not going to be able to keep this up for more than 45 minutes. So yeah, man, back with another stream. I know it's been a while since I've done a stream. I just wanted to let people know what the pattern is for this upcoming season. So the reason why I'm doing a stream now is because I'm not going to be doing that many streams this upcoming season. I think I've mentioned it before. But when I do these streams, instead of just commenting in the live stream as well, I would like for people to put some comments as well. So the comments that come off the back of the stream, please get involved in the comments as well, because feedback is king for me. Obviously, as you are all aware, I'm working with Skullfuggery on this as well. So just trying to fine tune a couple bits and pieces to make the best type of content this upcoming season. So apologies for the lateness, and I hope that clarifies things. Feedback is king, as I said. Please continue to send in your thoughts, suggestions, football or content related, in the comment section as well. Appreciate that. Anyway, usual housekeeping duties. People, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure you keep your post notifications turned on. And I hope you lot have liked the little uploads that I'm doing. So that's the sort of lane I'm going to go down. Like, that's the lane I'm going to go down this upcoming season. And it's not just going to be Spurs. It's going to be all types of football content. If you're asking, Tobes, where have you been the last couple of days? People are saying, oh, Tobes, you need to be consistent. I am being consistent. I've recorded my content. If you want anyone to blame Skullfuggery, because I've sent him about like 2 or 3 different pieces of content. So obviously don't blame Skullfuggery because he's got a lot on his plate anyway, but it's fine. It's fine. But people, anyway, let's talk football. Let's talk Tottenham, right? It's been a long time since I've done a stream in YouTube years. So let's talk Spurs. Let's talk Spurs in the next 45 odd minutes, because there's a couple of points I wanted to mention. Now, the title of this stream speaks for itself. Yeah. I've still got concerns. I've still got my concerns, bruh. I've still got my concerns. Now, I'm sure everyone watched the preseason. Well, the majority have watched the preseason friendly. If you didn't watch the preseason friendly, I'm sure that you've probably seen highlights, etc., etc. If you're a Spurs fan, if you're not a Spurs fan, you probably don't really care, and you probably haven't seen anything. But I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about the friendly per se. I'm gonna touch on it a little bit, and then I'm gonna speak broadly about like what's been going on in the last couple of days. Yeah. So I can see some people in the comments as well. I think Capo is obviously a West Ham fan saying, bring Lawless where we smoked you. Listen, these West Ham fans, let me just say this, yeah. These West Ham fans are hilarious, man. Like, they're really getting the jollies off beating us in a pre-season friendly. Let me tell you the stats for that game. Yeah. Let me just give you the stats for that pre-season friendly. Yeah. And you know what's crazy as well? You know what's mad? I was happy. I didn't care that we lost. I was actually quite happy with the performance. The bits that I didn't like are the reason behind my YouTube title today for this stream, which I'll get into in a second. But from a performance perspective, they're really coming out away from that and puffing their chest. And I'm like, did we watch the same game? Did we watch the same game? I'm so confused. Listen, like, Spurs were down bad. Don't get it twisted. We are down bad. Apologies. I'm looking at my camera. My camera is here. The comments are here. So sometimes you see me looking here. Sometimes you see me looking here. Apologies. Yeah. Listen, we're down bad from last season. We finished 8th. We were playing really bad football. So many players out of form. It just looked like it was an impossible task to make Spurs look half decent, right? But I mean, come on. Preseason, there's got to be some sort of tax on preseason. For one, I'm not really big on reading into preseason games. Like, the true measure of a team will come in due course when the season starts. But pre-season is also a good indication to see where players are in terms of their fitness levels. And at least when it's a new manager, right, it gives them the opportunity to set in their philosophy from the jump, right, to put in the groundwork early. Now, even if Spurs won that game, you would never see me gassing up this result the way West Ham fans are gassing it. But let me just give you the stats. This game, because I remember Lawless was gassing it up. A couple people mentioned it in the comments as well. Yeah, so let me give you the stats, and I must caveat this because West Ham were playing a half-baked team. They were playing a half-baked team. I know Kurt Zuma played, Emerson played, Bowen played, Danny Ings played, but yep, obviously they've sold Declan Rice, so no one's come in for Declan Rice yet. No Souček, no Aguerd, no Soufal. They were missing a lot of players. No Antonio, so they were missing a lot of players, right? And they didn't really make that many changes. Yeah, but let me just give you the stats, right? This is the game that they're hyping up. Spurs possession 72%, West Ham 28. Total shots, Spurs 32, West Ham 7. Shots on target, Spurs 13, West Ham 4. Big chances created, Spurs 4, West Ham 3. So props to West Ham. They were clinical. They were clinical in that friendly. They were clinical in that friendly. That low intensity friendly. That doesn't mean jack for this upcoming season. They were clinical. They capitalized on the set pieces. But they also rode their luck courtesy of some really bad finishing from Tottenham on the day. But as I said, I came away happy with that performance. Didn't care about the loss because I don't really give a crap about winning or losing in pre-season. I care more about the performances, especially when a new manager is concerned, right? And even the performances, I cap my care cup at like a 30-40% because I'll be real with you guys, yeah. It dates back to 2008. So let me take you back to 2008, summer 2008. Giovanni Dos Santos had signed for Spurs, right? Signed for Spurs amongst the sea of other imports that came in that summer. Like we signed a couple of players, and at the end of that window, obviously we sold Berbatov, sold Robbie Keane, signed Pavlyuchenko, signed Fraser Campbell on loan, etc., right? So pre-season that year, why am I saying Lo Celso? Dos Santos was cooking. I'm like, yo, we might have a real player on our hands. And my man was cheeks. He was cheeks for Spurs. He was cheeks. So much cheeks that he should be working at Starlets. If you don't know what Starlets is, Google it. That's how cheeks this guy was. He was cheeks. So ever since then, I've just learned not to really read into pre-season, right? It's not completely irrelevant because ultimately players are using it to build fitness. Managers are using it to set their philosophy from the jump, right? But in terms of results, I don't really care about pre-season. I really don't. Performance beats results for me every day of the week when it comes to pre-season. And the performance against West Ham was quite good. Spurs kept the ball. Spurs had more slick moves than I could count. Spurs created a ton of chances, worked West Ham's box. I can't really be mad at that. What I'll tell you is I can be mad at the defensive phases where we lost concentration and we let West Ham score 3 goals. That's what I'm mad at. And that's what I'm concerned about. That's what I'm still concerned about. Big up KG in the comments as well. He said, was Joe Budden at Starlets when you went? Brother, we didn't even go Starlets, man. We got hoodwinked. We ended up going to this other place called Sapphires. And when I tell you, it's a disgrace that place is even called a you-know-what club, man. But let me not speak too much on that. If I speak, big trouble, big trouble. Yeah? So I don't want to be in big trouble. But anyway, people, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. All of that good stuff. Yeah, super chat coming, so I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, just to cut a long story short, I was happy with the pre-season performance. I think a couple of players really impressed. Again, playing against West Ham, half-baked West Ham team. So heavy preseason tax and heavy caveats, right? Because I've seen some people getting carried away. Lo Celso was quite impressive, was really impressive. And shock horror, some people got carried away. Oh, Lo Celso, he would cook in the right eight. Oh, he fits Ange's system. Yeah, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. No, man. No, just get rid of him. That's good that he played well. Let him show what he's good at, right? So then that means buyers, it incentivizes buyers to come in and buy him, because I don't even want to hear Lo Celso's name as far as Tottenham's concerned for another season. And he doesn't even want to be here. The guy don't even want to be here. So please, man. Vamos, please go. I don't want Lo Celso at the club. But he was really good when he came on. He would take the ball in the half turn, nice passes. Notice how he turns into Mesut Ozil. That's even a disgrace that I'm even comparing this guy to Ozil. Notice how he turns into like an Eriksen when there's no pressure on the ball. It's a pre-season friendly. Yeah. The team that you're playing, they've made barely any changes and you're on against fresh legs. Imagine the difference in performance. Ask him to do everything he did in that game that was really good. Ask him to do that when it matters in an actual Premier League game of football, where the opposition is 10 times harder and the pressure is 10 times more severe. Ask him. In fact, I already know the answer. I've seen it for two and a bit odd years at Spurs, and the answer is he won't be able to do that. He'll have more passes to the stands than he would do to the attackers. Nah. And I'm not even trying to say that Lo Celso is necessarily like an awful player. Like, I'm sure he's got qualities. He definitely has qualities. I used to like Lo Celso, but the Lo Celso I've seen at Tottenham, outside of crap Europa League matches where we're playing, Europa Conference League matches and some Europa League matches where we're playing like the worst of the worst opposition, and like a 2-month spell from December, 2.5-month spell from December 2019 to about February 2020. Outside of those scenarios, this guy has been absolutely awful for Tottenham. Absolutely awful. I tried. I wanted Lo Celso to get more games in his first season because of the injury. I said, fine. You did well. You did well when you were called upon. Then we had the project restart. Then he came back into the team for Jose and was playing. I remember in that restart, I count maybe one good performance in 10. I said, nah, you stink. What's going on here? Aren't you meant to be a good player? I said, fine, cool. Bad end to the season. It happens. Summer, recoup your energy, etc. Come back stronger the next season. Cool. The next season, on top of the fact that the guy's a sick note, when he does play, he stinks. What good do we have with Lo Celso at Spurs? There's not enough evidence of his body of work at Spurs to suggest that this guy's going to cook under Ange Postecoglou. He might. He just might. I'm not even going to rule it out, but I would rather just sell him, recoup the money, and use it to invest into the defense. But I don't even want to go off on a tangent there, which I did. Listen, Lo Celso was one of the good performers on the day. Sarr impressed me a lot when he came on. Destiny, really good performance when he came on, of course. So that was good. He's really good, powerful runner with the ball. Good eye for goal. Who else impressed me today? Tell you what, I actually thought Manu Solomon was really lively, man. And again, I'd want to see what he can do for us in Premier League games before I form a full opinion on Solomon. But I'll be real, if he can give us what he gave us against that C-Tech rubbish West Ham team a couple of days back, I wouldn't even be mad at that off the bench. Like, if he can give us performances like that off the bench in the Premier League, I think that would be a good option for Spurs. But again, it's pre-season, so like I said, I want to see it in the league. So yeah, a couple of people impressed me. Divine, when he came on, I felt like he was good. I didn't think Kane played well. Didn't really think Madison played well. Kulusevski was okay. Wasn't bad, but wasn't exactly like so influential. I think he was okay. Basuma Basuma was really good. Basuma was really good, and I think the noise around Spurs right now with Alistair Gold, with Eccleshare, etc., the noise suggests that this is a player that Ange can see the value in, the value that Conte couldn't see. We were begging and screaming for Conte to play this guy last season. I don't care how bad his season was last year. Yes, he had bad performances, but people had and still have short memories on how talented a player this is. So he was obviously impressive a couple of days back, and he's a player that you would hope is going to be a key cog in our team in the season to come. So yeah, a lot of people impressed me. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people impressed me for sure. So, but then I guess I have to talk about why I'm still concerned, right? First and foremost as well, Ange Postecoglou, so far, I can't complain about anything. Not that I want to complain. I can't complain about anything. Obviously, we need to see how this translates into Premier League football, because that's going to be a whole different ball game, right? To pre-season. But in terms of the way the team played, the one or two touch passing in specific sequences as well, the attitude to winning the ball back as soon as West Ham had it, and the belief to actually keep the ball and play in and around West Ham's box. We want to see more of that. Obviously, we want to see that against better opposition. We want to see that when there's way more at stake. But in terms of philosophy, I'm hopeful that that's something that we can see a lot more of in the season to come. So on Ange himself, I don't really have any issues. So my concern isn't with Ange at the moment. My concern isn't with some of the players that I've just mentioned now outside of Lo Celso. My concern is with the defense. I'll be real. And it's not a concern that stems from, just one game in preseason. It's a concern that has been here for like years, literally years. So that's just what I have to say about it. Like, I didn't just wake up after the game and say, "Oh wow, I'm really concerned about this team's defensive shape." No, the defense has been an issue for years, literally years, right? The two goals we concede, set pieces as well, man. I don't know what's wrong with us when it comes to set pieces. Like, why can't we just defend set pieces properly? I mean, even the first one as well, the first goal, Reguilon, shades of when West Ham beat us I think it was 2-1 at not Upton Park, London Stadium. I think it was Gareth Bale that scored our only goal that game, right? West Ham beat us 2-1. We were being managed by Nuno. No, it wasn't actually Nuno. It was Jose Mourinho, I think. Was it Jose Mourinho? I can't even remember. Yeah, I think it might have been Jose Mourinho. Yeah, it was Jose Mourinho. And Reguilon, like for the first goal, in the lead up to the corner, Reguilon, Jared Bowen's left-footed. Jared Bowen is left-footed. Like, there's no other thing he wants to do when he gets the ball in that area apart from cut inside on his left foot and swing a ball into the box. Like, close him down. And then we even catch respite with the corner, and you're thinking, okay, time to reset. And then they swing a ball in, the ball gets headed out, Reguilon clears it, it finds its way back to Jared Bowen again. This time it's Pedro Porro. And Pedro Porro is basically like, I would say he's probably like 3-4 yards away from him, and he's got his hands behind his back. Brother, why are you just standing there? Go and close him down. No proactiveness in the defense, and then bang, Danny Ings sneaks in back post again. Reguilon, that's your man. Not watching the ball, you're not watching the man. Typical. And that's my issue with Reguilon, right? I've always maintained that Reguilon is not a bad player. He's not a bad player, but I wouldn't even be mad at Reguilon being kept to play backup left back. But this guy cannot be a starter for Spurs. And I think if he was to be sold for Spurs, even though I think it's a mistake in comparison to keeping someone like a Ben Davies or a Sessegnon, at least Ben Davies can defend. Forget about Sessegnon. At least Ben Davies can defend better than Reguilon. Reguilon, he plays like a child, man. And it's just too much, man. He can't be a starter for Spurs. And Pedro Porro as well. I think it's well documented what I think of his defending as from last season's streams, but with him, it's going to be more about what he does with the ball than without it. However, in saying that, he needs to be better without the ball. Anyway, people, thanks for wishing me a happy birthday as well. For those who have been checking out my socials, thanks for wishing me a happy birthday. Appreciate it. I'm an old man now. I'm not really that old, to be fair. I'm not really that old. So, yeah, I'm not really going to get into the second goal because the second goal, I feel like Vicario could do better there. Again, the marking for West Ham's young academy player could be better. But yeah, man, even for the third goal, I mean, stepping up that line and then Scamacca running off Sanchez, Højbjerg just making a mess of that challenge in the middle of the park. It's just, yeah, man, it's just symptomatic of what we've been seeing the last couple of years with the team from a defensive standpoint. Too many mistakes, too many lapses in concentration. We just need better defenders. That's my concern. We just need better defenders. And my preseason talk moves from preseason to the defenders. I'm still going to keep banging on about the defenders. It's why I speak about selling Lo Celso, selling Højbjerg. Pump the money into the defense, starting with two good centre-backs, right? Two good centre-backs. Start with that. That's what we need. That's what we need. Troy Taylor says, Tobes, you need Harry Maguire. His aerial ability would have prevented those goals. I'll piss off, man, please. Big up for your comment. Big up for your comments. You know, it's all love, but nah, man, please. Please, man. None of that slabhead stuff, man. Not around here. Let me go to the super chat as well. Big up 18 Spurs Marco 82. He says no Deadwood out, no new CBs, no Kane resolution, no CDM. Get crap, skip Højbjerg out. Positives. Ange, Madders, Mano, Udogi, and we actually played well on Tuesday. Yeah. I think that sums it up, to be fair. I think that sums it up. And I get it. Like, me, I think I'm with the centre-back talk, I'm in the middle, right? Like, I can completely hear people who are saying, listen, it's only been one game of the preseason. There's still more weeks to go. Like, Spurs are going to sign a centre-back. Even Ange Postecoglou spoke about it recently, and he said, yep, we're definitely looking to bring one in. We're likely to bring one in. Yep, cool. But I'm also on the other side where I'm like, okay, then just pull the trigger, bring that one in, then bring another one in. Like, bring someone in, because nobody's gonna burst the blood vessel if Spurs haven't signed a centre-back by the end of this week or even early next week. But ideally, we want to get the centre-backs in, right? And we want to get two centre-backs, two good centre-backs. We want to get them in so they can familiarise themselves with how Ange Postecoglou wants to play and be integrated into the team. And most importantly, be a Spurs player. We want good players in this team so we can push the crap players out, right? And when I say the crap players, I'm talking about your Lo Celsos, I'm talking about your Sanchez's, I'm talking about your Tangangas, right? I'm talking about your Dyers. Like, they need to go. Them man need to go. They need to go. But yeah, the centre-back talk, I mean, we've been hearing the same updates over and over and over again. If it's not from Fabrizio, it's from Alistair Gold. If it's not from Alistair Gold, it's from Dan Kilpatrick. If it's not from Dan Kilpatrick, it's from Jack Pittbrook. If it's not from Jack Pittbrook, it's from Matt Law. If it's not from Matt Law, it's from Charlie Eccleshare. If it's not from Charlie Eccleshare, it's from Gary Jacob. Like, yo, we know Spurs are in talks for both Van der Ven and Tapsoba, right? Which one are we going to sign? When are we going to sign these centre backs? We need to sign these centre backs. That is the concern, right? And I feel like the centre back pursuits that they're almost interlinked with the midfield, right? Because the noise we're hearing is, oh, Spurs might not have enough money for two, right? But if there is the ability to get two centre backs in, they're going to get two centre backs in. But it's not just getting two centre backs in; it's getting the right two centre backs in. And even Tapsoba and Van der Ven, we don't even know how well these guys will perform in the Prem because they've never played in the Prem. But from the research that the club have done, it seems, and from the noise around the fan base, and then just from general research as a fan, like just doing your research, they look like sensible moves for Tottenham to make. They do. So now it's in the club's court. It's in the club's. The ball is in the club's court, right? They need to make these moves. They need to sign these centre backs. They do. They absolutely do, right? The team we played out against West Ham, it was Romero who actually had a good game. Wasn't as rash as you would expect. Romero and Tanganga playing centre back, and then when Ange made a complete switch at halftime, it was Ben Davies and Sanchez playing centre back. Right, bearing in mind we still have Joe Rodon on the books as well. Like, we need to make moves. We need to push these guys out of the club. The majority need to be pushed out of the club, and annoyingly, the ones who are going to be kept, they need to be pushed out of the starting 11. They absolutely do. Oh, here he is. Big up Turkish. He said, thanks, say for the super chat, bro. He says, it's your birthday, but you're here. Hands on bald head in the thumbnail, talking about concerns with Ange. Have a day off and go and enjoy. Oh, listen, Turkish, more than you believe, I'm going to enjoy. I'm enjoying tonight. Don't worry, man. But I had to talk football. Yeah. The reason why I have to talk football now is because I'm not going to have the time to do so this evening, tomorrow, and Sunday. So I had to do it now. Yeah. But thank you for your concerns. They've been duly noted. And trust me, I'm going to enjoy tonight more than you can believe. More than you can believe. Yeah. And big up my brother as well. It's Tossin's birthday too, obviously, because we're twins. So happy birthday to him as well. But of course, I've spoken to him over the phone. Now, this last super chat. Big up AJ. He says, really out here talking about meaty Spurs and your birthday. Toby, enjoy your day. Rah. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I promise you, I'm gonna get off this stream and I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the day. As I said, annoyingly, today's been quite busy. Work was on my neck for earlier on, and then before that, I had to go to the gym. But yeah, after this, trust me, it's gonna be plain sailings. Yeah, people saying happy 40th birthday, Toby. No, no, I'm not 40, bro. I'm not 40. I'm a big man, but I'm not 30 either. Right? I'm 31. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, let's talk about the midfield, right? I want to talk about the midfield, then I'm going to move on to Harry Kane, right? With the midfield, now, for me, it's pretty simple. Everything links back to the centre backs. It does. So Maddison, in my opinion, was the main priority that we needed to get in the midfield this summer. We needed a creative 8 or 10 who could get the ball, could find the attackers, could score goals, could dribble with it a little bit, and just someone who could operate in between the lines, right? We've now signed that player. Yeah. The priority for me should be on the centre backs. And I'm not saying this to say that Spurs don't need another midfield. I look at our midfield now, and even if we were to get rid of the players that I want Spurs to get rid of, which is Lo Celso, he needs to go, and then Højbjerg needs to go. Then that leaves us with Maddison, Bissouma, Bentancur, Pape Matar, Oliver Skip. Did I mention Ndombele? Yeah. So Ndombele, Bissouma, Maddison, Bentancur, Sarr, Oliver Skip. Skip is 22, going to be 23. Pape Matar 19, Ndombele 26, I think. Maddison 26, Bissouma 26, Bentancur 26, 27. So I correct me if I'm wrong, and please shoot me down if you lot don't agree with this. But my thing is, yes, naturally, if Højbjerg leaves, that gives Spurs a window to try and sign this ball playing six, because Basuma, for all intents and purposes, is going to be our six. He's the only one in our team who's actually played the six role in the Prem to a really good standard. Yeah. He's the only one. Skip is a six, but let's be real. The level that Skip can play at in the six doesn't even come close to Basuma's level. Basuma's played in the six role to a really good standard for Brighton. Yeah. So Basuma, however, isn't your natural ball playing six, because I don't think his passing is as expansive, right? I feel like Basuma opens up a game of football with his dribbling, with his ability to protect the ball and take it further up the pitch, like Moussa Dembele used to do a little bit. Like, obviously not as good as Moussa Dembele, but that's something Dembele used to do. And I think Basuma's short range passing is quite good. I think his short range passes to actually progress play, I think him and Bentancur, they're good at these things. But when they pick up the ball from the centre back and it's time to launch the ball more than 20, 30 yards, I feel like we don't really have those midfielders outside of Maddison, and when he's on it, and Ndombele, that can actually make those long spraying passes, can actually control a game of football with the passing, right? So Basuma for me is not that type of six. Spurs need to go and sign that type of six. I feel like when you look at the profiles in our team, that's the one profile that we don't have. Now, Spurs could sign that profile this season. Obviously, we're linked with Douglas Luiz, who's I think he's a good player. I think he's not the best player. I feel like Spurs could get better, but I think he's good. I think he's good. I think he can definitely play. He could definitely hang for sure, and compete with Basuma, right? I wouldn't be mad at that signing, but what I would be mad at is if Spurs were to spend money on Douglas Luiz, right? And we only bring in one centre back, or we spend money on Douglas Luiz and we bring in two centre backs, but one of the two centre backs isn't good enough, like a Longley, for instance. I would not be happy with that. I would not be happy with that one bit. So for me, the midfield, I've said multiple times, and I'm going to say it again. I would happily forego no midfield signing this season, right? If it meant that we pump all the money into bringing in the two established centre backs that we want to rotate with Romero. Now, Tapsoba and Van der Ven, I think, again, everything goes back to them, right? Van der Ven, he's a natural lefty, right? So he can play in the back four. He's got the pace, he's got the height. Obviously, he's a bit raw from what I've read in terms of his development. But listen, if you've got talent and you can give us something immediately, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Tapsoba, he plays on the left as well, right? But he's right-footed. So in my eyes, I feel like that could be a good enough blend where you have two guys who can play on the left-hand side. But because Tapsoba is right-footed, and from what everyone's telling me, he's meant to be the superior centre-back out of him and Van der Ven, that opens up the possibility for Tapsoba to play on the right side of the defense as well, if he's right-footed, which can help our build-up from both sides, right? What I envision is we have three centre backs that are first team ready, first 11 ready this season that we can rotate with. Because Romero, we all know he can pick up an injury at a moment's notice and bang, he's out for 4 or 5 games. Yeah. So I need that flexibility. I think Spurs need that flexibility. We absolutely do. And I feel like our pursuits in the midfield is distracting us from closing out what we need to close out in the defense. Yeah. All this noise, obviously selling Højbjerg, oh, you need to replace. No, try and make do with what you have for this season. Even if it's not good enough, try and make do with what you've got, at least even until January, where you have more funds available. If there's X amount of millions this summer, commit those millions to the centre back. And the reason why I speak with that with a bit more confidence than others is because I actually believe in some of the midfielders that Spurs have. So like Pape Matar Sarr, for instance, he's 19 years old. Now, do I expect Pape Matar Sarr to be a linchpin in our midfield this upcoming season and play 30 out of 38 Premier League games? No, I don't, right? He's young, he's developing, he's going to have good games. He's going to have bad games, but he clearly has talent. He clearly has talent. And I'm not just talking about the West Ham game. No, I've been saying this with Sarr for time. Sorry, he's 20 years old now. Apologies. I thought he was 19. But the guy can play. And the thing is, from the majority of fans I've spoken to, they've been asking for midfielders who can protect this ball and progress this ball. So we have a young midfielder who can do these things. He may not be able to do it to an elite standard, but he can do them to a good enough standard for now, right? He's got the build to play in the Premier League. He can protect the ball well enough. He can dribble the ball if he needs to, and he can pass the ball forward if he needs to as well. And he can defend. Again, not to an elite standard, not to Basuma standard, but to a good enough standard that he can fill in as and when required, if utilized. So that's an option. We've already spoken on Ndombele, so I don't need to give you the long spiel on Ndombele. We know what the situation is with Ndom. If you want to fight, you need to fight. Bentancur's not going to be back until November, which then means, as it stands now, if Højbjerg and Lo Celso was sold anyway, you would have Basuma, Skip, Sarr, Ndombele, and Maddison competing for 3 spots. Let's just try and make do with that and focus on the centre backs. Yeah, I'm willing to make do with that. As much as it will frustrate me when I need a better caliber midfielder or Bentancur's not available, etc., etc. I'm willing to make do with that if Spurs sign the 2 centre backs. Genuinely, I feel like if you were playing a 4-3-3, Ndombele could slot into the left 8 role. I genuinely think you could do that. I think if you were playing Sarr, he can play as a 6, in my opinion, or he can play as an 8. I think he has qualities to do both, similar to Basuma. I feel like if you were to bring in someone like Sarr, you could even push Basuma forward, right? Or you give Basuma that responsibility in a 6 and you push Sarr forward until Bentancur returns. Everyone knows the midfield we want to play. We want Maddison furthest forward with Bentancur here, who's the one that's going to run into the box, and then Basuma protecting. But we're not going to get that midfield for a couple of months. And even when we get that midfield, Bentancur still needs to get to speed. So let's actually try and make do with what we have, where we actually have talent. Let's try. Papi Matasar was bought 2 seasons ago and has been given minimal first team minutes for Spurs. And I don't really understand why. Because when I watch this guy play, no offense to Skip, but he's clear of Oliver Skip as a footballer. You just have to watch him play. He's absolutely clear of Oliver Skip as a footballer. Right? Truth be told, Skip is not really good enough for Spurs, but he's homegrown and he's diligent in his work. And I'm calm with keeping Skip as a backup for now. But if we didn't have that homegrown attachment, I would never be mad at looking to move Skip on. But for now, I'm calm with Skip staying, provided the others ahead of him in terms of talent are prioritized more. They get more minutes. So that's my view on the midfield. Just a word before I move on to Kane. Conor Gallagher, the talk keeps ramping up, and I just feel sick, man. I just feel sick that this guy is being linked to Spurs. And I want to caveat this by saying that Conor Gallagher is not a bad player. And I've said this repeatedly. I think when you're talking about your Palaces, your Southamptons, your Burnleys, your Fulhams, I'm trying to give other team examples here. Like, he would be a really good player for these teams. He would, right? I feel like he can become a good mid-level Premier League player. He definitely can. He's got a good eye for goal for a midfielder, and he's got the running capacity which managers want. They want guys who can work and he can press. But on the ball, he just come on. Let's just be real with ourselves. He just doesn't protect this ball reliably well enough for me to hang my hat on this guy. Like, using the pre-season game as an example, I obviously saw the runs Oliver Skip was making into the box. So he was obviously playing further ahead of Basuma. So it's clear that Ange wants the the right side number 8 to basically play as a dual 8, right? Sorry to get really technical, but I promise it's not really that technical. So someone who in defensive phases, you're there for the counter press, you're there to try and soak up pressure, and you can even keep the ball where required. And then from an offensive point of view, you progress the ball and you attack the box. Cool. And then the what do you call it? The fullbacks tuck in and invert with the holding 6. Calm. Cool. Gallagher, I see only one purpose for Ange, which is goal scoring. Someone to make those runs into the box to score goals. But what about the other 80 minutes of the game where you're not going to be able to do that? What about the other 80 minutes where you're going to have to keep the ball, to play the high percentage passes, to keep the ball under pressure, right? To evade the challenges of the opposition? What about that? Nothing, because he's not good at that. In fact, he's poor at those things I mentioned. So essentially, he's poor at the actual midfield duties. Let's be real, because that's what a midfielder has to do. When you're playing in the center of the park, you cannot be a good midfielder in world football if you're not good on the ball. Sorry. It doesn't happen. At best, if you're not good on the ball, you have to be like an elite DM. Do you get what I'm saying? But he's not going to be playing the DM for Spurs. He's going to be playing as an 8. And sorry, as an 8, you have to be better on the ball. I look at someone like Bentancur. The drop-off in quality from someone like Bentancur to Gallagher is staggering. And what we're willing to accept that drop-off for what? His goals? Really? How many goals did Højbjerg score for us last season? Like 5, 6 goals? Some really good goals. How many assists did he have? Like 6, 7 assists? Yet I'm here today. One of the guys that I really admire in terms of the way he speaks and carries himself off the pitch. And I'm here today telling you Højbjerg is not good enough for Spurs. So if Højbjerg is not good enough for Spurs, why is Conor Gallagher, who is worse than Højbjerg, in the actual second phase of football? Nah, man. Nah. And I'm hearing that's Ange's preferred pick. Ange, listen, boy to boy, you're my guy right now. You're a Spurs guy. You're my gaffer. I'm putting faith in you, but bro, that ain't it. Sorry. 50 million as well. Can you imagine 50 million? I would much rather Douglas Luiz than Conor Gallagher. I would much rather prioritize Pape Matar as a 6 or an 8 than for Spurs to waste 50 million on Conor Gallagher. Sorry. He just doesn't have the technical quality required for a team that wants to actually keep the ball. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. He doesn't make him the worst player in the world. Doesn't make him a Souček, who I think is absolutely atrocious. Yeah, Conor Gallagher moonwalks into that West Ham midfield right now. Yeah, if they were playing a 4-3-3, I could see Paqueta, Gallagher, and a 6 working. I could see that working, right? But for a team who want to have, I don't know, mid-50s, early 60s or mid-60s possession with this guy in your midfield, nah, not going to happen. Not going to happen. But anyway, that's just my humble opinion. Yeah? And I get it. Football's a humbler. I could say all this and Conor Gallagher could end up being signed by Spurs. But I'm just giving my view. Not a bad player, but certainly not a player that I want at Spurs. Nope. Sorry. Nah. He's a pit bull. He's a glorified pit bull, chasing, pressing. Nah, man. Yes, off the ball, fantastic. On the ball, nope, not good enough. And my last point on this as well, I don't get why, some fans extrapolate like the things that he's good at and pretend like we can't get that quality elsewhere. Like, if you're willing to spend 50 million, I can bet my house on it that you can sign a midfielder that can work as hard as Conor Gallagher, can score maybe not as many goals, but can score enough goals for you to be satisfied, and is just a way better footballer. Like, he's not even being linked with us now. And truth be told, as I said, I'd much rather prioritize centre backs. But let's just use the English tax. Obviously, Spurs want to get a homegrown midfielder into the team, right? Why not try and prioritize Alfie Devine this upcoming season? That guy has been knocking on the first team door for years. And whenever he gets called up to the first team, he actually looks like he's ready to get a little bit of minutes, and nothing happens. Right? Even if he wanted to go outside of the market, right? Outside into the market, Morgan Gibbs White just literally won. He just literally won under 20s World Cup or under 21s World Cup with what's his name? With England. This guy is, bruv, the level. Conor Gallagher cannot chat to Morgan Gibbs White. As a footballer, bruv, it's chalk and cheese. And that's a guy who works his socks off, who's strong on the ball, can dribble the ball, can pass the ball. Like, that is a baller. That's a baller. That guy's not going to be at Nottingham Forest in 2 years' time. I promise you. If he keeps playing the way he's been playing, I promise you. Right? And that's what I mean. Right? Conor Gallagher is not the only English midfielder who works hard. Yo-Yo makes a great point here. He says, you need balance in the final third. Ball to feet players and then runners. Yes, absolutely. You need balance, right? But why can't you get runners who are actually better technically? Why can't you? Why can't you? Yeah. Obviously, let me use an example, right? I'm trying to think of an example. Yeah. Because someone like, obviously, you got the elite players. I don't expect Spurs to sign an elite player, but someone like Michael Essien for Chelsea. When we talk about world-class midfield, that was a world-class midfielder. The defensive work, excellent. Tracking back, excellent. But you know what else he had? He could pass, he could shoot, and he could make the late runs into the box. Michael Ballack could make those runs into the box and could play, right? Odegaard last season, he got 14 or 15 non-penalty goals for Arsenal. And did that mean that Arsenal's possession play had to suffer? No, it didn't. Eriksen routinely used to get double figures for Spurs. Did his on-the-ball quality suffer? No. Did Spurs' on-the-ball quality suffer? No. Benton Cole was tasked with playing further forward last season. He scored 4-5 goals. Got injured in February. Did his ball playing have to? Did his ball? Did that mean that he all of a sudden couldn't play football? No. Someone who could take care of the ball, keep the ball under pressure. So, sorry, nah, man. Spurs need to move away from midfielders like Gallagher and Ward-Prowse, guys who have their niche thing that they're good at. We need to get well-rounded technical midfielders. The technical quality of this team is low. It is low. We've done a decent job so far to actually address that by getting a ball-playing goalkeeper, getting a creative 8, right? Getting a winger who plays like he's a touchline winger that wants to dribble past players. But fundamentally, there needs to be a benchmark, a standard benchmark, right? If you do not meet this benchmark from a technical perspective, no. And that's what I've been stressing with Spurs. Spurs need to actually have standards. Genuinely. Have standards. Having standards doesn't mean that you're going to be calling every player not good enough, this is that and the third, or he's crap. Conor Gallagher is not a bad player. Again, I have to repeat, he's not a bad player. I think he's decent, right? But there's a certain level he does not meet. And for that reason, Chelsea want to sell him. For that reason, Man City would never look at him. For that reason, Arsenal would never look at him. For that reason, Liverpool would never look at him. The very best teams who keep the ball don't want to look at this guy. Brighton wouldn't look at this guy. And they have man like Pascal Gross, Caicedo in the midfield. Why? Because they have guys who are comfortable with the ball, extremely comfortable with the ball, without having a big name. Have standards. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. People, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for wishing me a happy birthday. Guys who sent in the super chats, thanks for the super chats. Matisse, I see you in the comments. Please keep your boy. We don't want him. I swear Chelsea don't do business with Spurs anyway, right? Let's keep that precedent. Yeah, let's not break that precedent. let's continue doing that. No business between the two clubs. Yeah. Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. I've just seen a comment that said Bentancur ain't that much better than Gallagher. And this is where I end my stream officially. Anyway, people, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure your post notifications are turned on as well. As I said, comments are king. Feedback is everything for me. So not just in this live chat, but if you're watching this back, please chuck in as many comments as possible, right? I want to hear your thoughts, not only on the football aspect, but on the content aspect as well. So thanks for tuning in. And thanks for wishing me a happy birthday. But people, I am out. Yeah. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good weekend. And take care. Bless up.